Hey, my friend, Adam Earhart here, and today I'm going to walk you through a complete marketing strategy to grow your agency, get more clients, start and scale it up to consistent and predictable 10K months, then up to 20K, 30K, 50K, 100K, and well beyond that. But it all starts with the document that you're looking at right here, which is the marketing master plan. This is the strategic plan of action that is going to get you from wherever you are right now to wherever you want to go. Unfortunately, we can't just throw a bunch of tactics at our agency and expect them to grow. We can't just start running ads or making cold calls or doing outreach without a plan behind it that makes sure that we're doing the right things in the right place for the right people. And when you get all of this right, when you go and go through the system that I'm about to walk you through, everything becomes easier. It becomes automatic. It becomes, I don't want to say effortless, but very clear and very simple with the exact next action that you need to take. So no more feeling overwhelmed, no more feeling lost and confused about what to do. You're going to know exactly what to do. With that said, let's dive in. So the very first thing that we need to talk about is what exactly is this marketing master plan? Well, anytime that we're creating a marketing strategy, and the beauty of this process is that it's going to work just as well for you and your agency right now, as once you learn these principles, you're going to be able to apply these for your clients as well. So you're going to essentially, if you want to, offer them marketing planning services or marketing strategies, you're going to be able to do that. But at the very least, when you're on sales calls, when you're creating offers, when you're having conversations with potential clients, you're going to be able to reference back to this to ensure that the strategy and the plan that you're putting forward is cohesive. It makes sense and is actually going to get them results. So we're going to start out and we're going to decide on, first of all, we need a model, right? So what is your overall agency model? Now there's a ton of different ones available. They have a lot of different names. At the end of the day, they're all very similar, which is that we're going to be providing some kind of marketing service for business owners. We call it a marketing agency. We can call it an SMMA, a social media marketing agency. The way that I look at it is an acquisition agency because this is what one of my earlier mentors has taught me. And this is the way that I've structured all of my agencies. And it's proven to be very effective. I'll walk you through exactly what that means. But we need to essentially decide what we're going to do and how we're going to do it. Are we going to focus on AI or automations? Are we going to do this or that or whatever it is? It's important to figure out exactly what that looks like. Next, we need to have our ideal target market in mind. Now, the big takeaway here is focusing exclusively and specifically on one niche. Don't worry, I've got notes on all of these different things. On the model, on the market, we're gonna get really tactical here in just a minute, but I think it's important here to make sure that we're all looking and operating from the same playbook before we dive in. One niche, non-negotiable. We'll talk more about that later. Message. What is the offer? What are the words? What is the statements and the positioning and the copy and all of the things you're going to be putting in front of potential clients that's going to allow you to stand out from the crowd, differentiate yourself from all of the other agencies out there, and really put together a truly irresistible offer for your potential clients? We call this a magic pill. I'll show you what that looks like. Media. Where are your ideal clients present and active online and offline? Because then we need to go there exclusively and pretty much ignore everything else. There's a lot of very terrible advice out there about how to get clients. We're going to cut through all of that noise and I'm going to show you the most effective way, the way that we're still using today. We've been using it for years. We've refined the strategy, continues to evolve and adapt, but essentially we just kind of like polish the tactics because the principles and the foundations, they've remained the same. All right. And then machine. How are we actually going to put this all into practice? And that's what the case funnel is all about. So we'll talk about that more in a second. But without further ado, let's start with model. So what exactly is an acquisition agency? Well, the way that I had it described to me and the way that I've sort of evolved and adapted this over the years is that an acquisition agency is focused on acquisition, which is acquiring, which is getting things, but not just any kinds of things. Specifically, we want to focus on lead gen. And really there's going to be two kinds of lead gen that you want to focus on. The first one is lead gen for your agency. That's really what this video and much of the videos on the channel is really all about, is like, how are we going to get you more clients? How are we going to generate qualified, interested, high value leads for you and your agency? So that's step one. But step two, which is often neglected, is that lead gen for your clients. We're going to talk about this in just a second, but essentially when you have a laundry list of different available marketing services that you can offer, it gets really easy to start focusing on ones that just aren't going to deliver results for your clients. Content marketing, anything that delivers vanity metrics like likes, comments, shares, doing marketing just for the sake of marketing. We call this random acts of marketing, just doing things. Well, there's only so long that that's going to last before your clients are like, this isn't working at all. It might look cool, it might make us feel really nice, but money's not coming in. So we need to focus on the acquisition of clients for you and the acquisition of clients and customers for your people. All right, so how do we do this? We focus only on high ROI services. When we list out all of the things that we could potentially do, there are certain services that are simply going to make you more money and going to make your clients more money as well. So these are typically low fulfillment things, so they don't take a lot of time from you. They provide measurable, tangible returns, so we're actually able to get your clients results and show them dollar signs. And this is what enables you to have higher client retention, to sign clients easier than ever. So some examples of high ROI services are essentially anything to do with lead gen. Google ads, running to a landing page, that works really well. Facebook ads, especially if we're targeting local people, because again, we're dealing with a smaller geographic area. So like running video Facebook ads for a local plumber or realtor or dentist, phenomenally effective. SEO, still a very, very viable strategy. In fact, one of my favorite strategies still is to involve all three elements of Google. So we'll run Google ads, we'll do maps and Google Business Profile Optimization. So we're building citations, making sure they're ranking higher there, and then also making sure their organic website is ranking higher. And when we do that right, I don't have much space on this paper yet, but if you think of the Google search engine here, and there's our little search bar, well, you've got ads here, you've got maps here, and you've got organic websites down there. And so one of your offers can be, look, we can get you spaces in all of these. So forget top of the page listings. We're going to essentially take over all of Google. So good example of a high ROI service. All right, next, we do want to be able to automate our agency. And the way that we do this is using a combination of AI, artificial intelligence. We're not building an AI agency where it's completely hands-off and the robots are doing all the heavy lifting for us, because again, that makes you replaceable. It makes you a commodity. Also, it's you're losing one of the main advantages of being an agency, which is that you're taking control and ownership of someone else's responsibilities, and you'll get paid very handsomely for doing that. You won't get paid very handsomely for just slapping an AI system together, trying to sell it to them for a couple $100 a month and letting them figure it out on their own. And of course, systems. This is what enables us to replicate things and to get results faster with doing less work. Also, we do want to delegate. We have two different ways of delivering these services to potential clients. One of which is you do it all yourself. This is how I started. First thing was web design, built all the websites myself, then tried to learn SEO, did all the SEO myself, then social, then ads, did it all myself. And it was fine, and it worked, and the agency grew to 10K a month, and then 20K and 30K a month, but I was pretty much capped out there, because there was only so much work that I was going to be able to do, and I couldn't take on more clients. So at the most, we were running like high 20s clients, so 25, 26 clients or so, with just me. And it was a lot of work. What I should have done, and what I figured out later, was that I could delegate this to a white label fulfillment service. They would be able to take care of the actual delivery and the fulfillment of the services for the clients. And then I was able to get back and get more clients, which is where the real money is made. So Agency Pro Plus, I'll put a link here as well. agencyproplus.com. This is my white label service that we use inside of all of our agencies. You're welcome to take a look and see if it fits with what you're looking for. All right. Market, one niche. For some reason, this seems to be the area that I get the most pushback on. But I understand, because early in my career, this was the area that I fought all of my mentors for as well. In fact, I remember very clearly, I was talking to one of my earlier mentors like a decade ago, and his name was Sam Ovens. And I was talking to Sam, and he's like, look, you're doing way too many things for way too many people. You got to focus. You got to pick just one single thing and go all in on that. And I remember thinking, nah, I can do it all. I'm the exception. I'm going to be different. I'm going to make this all work. And I was wrong. So I ended up staying stuck for a very long period of time. And then finally, when I narrowed things down and I actually took Sam's advice, as well as other people that were incredibly intelligent and very successful, telling me the exact same thing, I was finally like, all right, maybe you guys know something that I don't know here. So it took me 3 years to hit 100K a month with my first agency. It took me 30 days to hit 100K a month with my second, my third, my fourth, and all of that. Last agency we did in less than 30 days, got it to 100K a month. And the biggest factor was focusing on one single niche, by far. Of course, there were other things involved as well. The funnel was better and the ad copy we used was better and the way that we onboarded clients was better. We were providing services that were getting higher results. Basically, all the things that we're talking about here and now. However, the big thing was focusing on a niche, was being crystal clear on who we're doing things for, all of their intricacies and their nuances. We're going to talk about that more in the message in just a second. But that's it. So I can't say this strongly enough. If you're stuck, if your agency isn't growing, or maybe you're just getting started and you're thinking you can do all of these things for all of these people, you're overcomplicating your life and you're diminishing the amount of profits and margins you're going to make. So we got to pick one. All right. How do we choose which niche? Which niche is best? Number one, you got to choose one. Not two, not three, not four or five. You cannot serve all of these niches well. Your ability to get to 7 figures is just going to be so significantly diminished. So we got to pick one. Next, be specific. I overlapped that. We'll give a couple at once. The more specific you can be, the better. So we don't just say we do dentists, ideally. We would do dentists that would do cosmetic dentistry or orthodontics, or dentists that specialize in teeth whitening or family dentistry or dentists in small tests, whatever it is. The more specific we can be, the better, because when your niche hears about you and what you do, it's going to make it very clear that you're the right person for the job. I mean, just think about it for a second. If you're a dentist and you're looking at 2 different marketing agencies, and one is like, we're a marketing agency, we do all the things for all the people. And then you have another and they're like, we are a cosmetic dental marketing specialist. We help you book more cosmetic cases. We get you more patients. We increase your bottom line by XYZ and bring you all the leads. You're clearly going with that person. And that's exactly how clients think as well. All right. They must need it. This one sounds obvious, but you'd be surprised. There's a lot of people that try to do marketing for small businesses and for other people that just simply don't need it. Now, the example that I like to use, and this is just because it's specific to my area and where I live and the things that I've operated in, but for a long period of time, veterinarians, vet doctors, animal doctors, they didn't really need a whole lot of marketing. The demand for veterinary services was so high that they were booked out for weeks, months, sometimes even years in advance. So to go to a veterinarian who's booked out for years in advance and be like, I can get you more leads. They're like, I don't want more leads. I might want other things, maybe a better system of organization or CRM, but they don't want more lead gen. On the other hand, if you find niches that are always in demand and potentially growing, we'll talk about that in a second as well, there's basically an infinite amount of business that you can bring them. And so things like plumbing and roofing, med spas, chiropractic, fitness, funeral homes, unfortunately, all of these, what's some other good ones? Pest control. These are always services that are in demand. So there's always going to be people looking for them, which means you're always going to be able to help someone and scale very quickly. Okay. They must be able to afford it. Good example here. There's a bakery down my street that's phenomenal. They're so good. Tastiest cakes and muffins and pastries ever. But their menu items like $5 or $10 an item. So I could get them hundreds of leads and I might make them $500. Contrast that with a plastic surgeon whose one case is worth $15,000, or a personal injury lawyer who might have a $50,000 case. I can get them one case and I make them 10 times, 100 times, 1,000 times more than the other business down the street. So we've got to look at businesses doing at least $1 million a year or more. If they're a local service-based business, the rough rule of thumb is that if they've got 2 to 3 employees, they're probably within this range. All right, growing industry. You don't want to be doing marketing for a newspaper company. Right? Anything that's a dying trend, you ideally want to stay away from, because you're going to spend a bit of time getting to know this industry inside and out, and you don't want to attach yourself to a sinking ship. So if the industry is growing, you get some bonus points and you're going to be able to ride that train. The demand is going to go up no matter how good you are. So simply by being in that right vehicle, just by the nature of the market growing, there's going to be more demand for your services. All right. Message, the magic pill. Let's talk about this one. First things first. Well, what is a magic pill? A magic pill is a message, an offer, a way to put something in front of someone that makes them feel like, yeah, that's what I want. We can call it an irresistible offer. We can call it making an offer so good they can't refuse. Whatever it is, it's what your agency is going to do for someone. Now, the way that we figure this out is to start with really identifying your ICA, your ideal client avatar. And this comes down to 3 different things: demographic, geographic, and psychographic. So demographic details are age, gender, income, occupation, title. The big thing for me, for you, when you're doing your agency stuff is what's their title. Ideally, we're targeting a market that has a title, a dentist, a chiropractor, a plumber. The reason is I can use this in my messaging and they're like, yeah, that's me. Contrast this with trying to target someone who's thinking of starting a business and they're in corporate, but they might have this title, but they're in transition there. There's no way that we can just go out and find those kind of people quickly and easily. So ideally, we want some kind of title. Geographic, if you can start in the local area that you're in, you're going to have a competitive advantage just based on that. So don't feel like you automatically need to start targeting other countries. You can expand there later. And then psychographic, attitudes, affiliations, beliefs, organizations, where do they hang out? What groups are they a part of? Where else can we get in front of them? All right, next, miseries and miracles. This is probably the most important part of really coming up with a solid offer. We've got to be able to identify their miseries and their miracles. Their miseries, their pains, their problems, their fears, their frustrations, all the bad things that your potential clients are trying to move away from. This could be a lack of leads, a lack of business growth, a lack of stability, a lack of sales, all the things they don't want anymore. And then their miracles, wants, goals, dreams, desires, all the things they're trying to move towards. We need to identify these as well. So if they have a lack of sales, well, they obviously want more sales, but could we be more specific? How many more sales? How many more leads? How many more clients? What kind of offers do they want to sell more of? What are their highest margin services? How else can we get them more of those things? The more clear and the more specific we're able to be, the better that our conversions are going to be. Not to mention, there's an interesting psychological phenomenon that happens when you're the one to accurately define a problem someone has. They automatically assume that you have the solution. For example, when I say, hey, look, do you have an agency or are you thinking of starting one and you're stuck at just 2 to 3 clients and you're unable to get to the next level? Maybe you're doing all of the things for all of the people and you're feeling overwhelmed and frustrated, a little bit burned out. You're trying to figure out how all these other people are succeeding when you're working harder and aren't getting the results. If so, I've got a solution for you. Well, just by describing that pain and those problems, which by the way is easy for me to do because that was me for years, automatically assumes that, look, I'm going to have something that's going to help you to get to the next level. Otherwise, why would we be describing a problem? Do you know how bad that feels? Yeah, I feel it too. All right, moving on. Your offer is the bridge between these things, from miseries to miracles. That's what your offer does. We help, let's put this back. We help X with Y so you can, we'll say W without Z, or Z for my Canadian and UK friends. We help X with Y so you can W without Z. We help, X is the niche, the industry, with Y is the thing that you help them with, so you can get all of these miracles without all of these miseries or things that you don't want. If you're able to put this statement together, you're ahead of 90% of other agencies out there, just by being clear about what you do, who you do it for, the benefits they're going to experience, and all of the negatives and pains that they're not going to have to deal with. So this alone is worth spending some time on. All right, moving on. Media. How are we going to get this message in front of these ideal people? Where are they? Well, there's a few different ways to do this. Some good, some incredibly bad. What are the good ways? Cold email. Easily still one of my all-time favorite client acquisition outreach methods. The reason is everybody has email. Your lawyer has email. Your accountant has email. Your realtor has email. Everyone has email. That's how people contact us normally. Sometimes some people are switching over to SMS, but pretty much everybody, every business out there has an email address. Not everybody has different social media followings or phone numbers listed, but everybody's got email, which means we can theoretically get in front of every single business on the planet. Not to mention, we are allowed to email businesses with our offers. We can't just call random people in the general public and call them up randomly trying to sell them things, but we can call businesses and we can email businesses because their email addresses are often publicly listed. All right, cold call, also incredibly effective. The example that I like to give is that if someone came, this is a morbid story, but morbid example, hang in there with me. If somebody came to my house, kidnapped my entire family, took all my kids and put a gun to my head and said, hey, you got to make $100,000 in the next 30 days or bad things are going to happen. What are you going to do? I'm cold calling. That's it. Point blank. I'm going to Google. I'm typing in my niche and different cities. So it could be like landscapers in Phoenix, Arizona, realtors in Los Angeles, plumbers in Milwaukee, whatever it is. A long list of names are going to pop up and businesses, and I'm just going to start calling them. I've got a script that I like to use, and I'll work them through, and I'll try to book sales calls with them, but it is by far the fastest way. Now, is it the most sustainable, long-lasting, reliable way? I don't think so. I think there's a better way, which is to start with cold email, and then we follow up with a call, but we make it a warm call. So what ends up happening is first we send them an email, introducing ourselves, telling them about the problem, keeping it short and sweet. Lots of other videos on this channel about that, so we don't need to dive into the tactics. Then we follow up with that warm call. Hey, Adam Earhart here from Agency Accelerator. How's it going, Tom? Hey, did you get that email I sent you about XYZ? Oh, great. If so, if not, don't worry. Just curious if this is an issue for you, if this is a priority for you right now, et cetera, and then we can carry on from there. Cold DMs, another very effective way. We can send direct messages through Facebook, through Instagram, through LinkedIn, through Twitter. Different industries and different niches are going to have a preference for different kinds of connections. For example, if you're in fitness or martial arts, Instagram direct messages work really well. If you're in home services and your niche is plumbers or roofers or contractors, Facebook messages work really well. In fact, actually, bit of a tip. If you're dealing with contractors and you imagine they're always out on the job site, the call is really the secret there for any kind of contractors because they always have their phones with them. For LinkedIn, professional services, accounting, lawyers, things like that. It can vary, which is why we typically test all of them, but very effective. All right, let's talk about some ways that are not so good that people often like. Paid ads. This could be Facebook ads, Google ads, any ads. Now, I'm not saying don't run these on behalf of your clients to get your clients more customers. I'm saying that if you're trying to grow your agency, you probably shouldn't be running ads, Facebook ads, Google ads, to try to get more clients for yourself. There are exceptions, but they're rare. The fact is that paid ads is a skill unto itself. And when we're doing kind of this B2B style lead generation with ads, you're going to have to pay a few more dollars because these are more valuable leads. Not to mention, you're going to have to make sure that your funnel is completely dialed in. On top of that, you're going to have to spend a decent amount of money in order to get through the learning phase or the testing phase to make sure everything works. Essentially, it just becomes relatively expensive. And if you're not exactly sure of the lifetime value of your customers or the cost that is going to take in order to book an application and all of your metrics around it, it just becomes really messy. So my advice, which is very, very strong, I feel very strongly about this. If you're doing anything less than like 20 to 50 grand a month with your agency, we don't even look at ads. It just simply doesn't make sense because there's so much lower hanging fruit for you to take advantage of with outreach, with cold email, cold DM, organic posting, hitting up your personal network, all these other things. So I avoid that one and typically advise avoiding that until you're at like the 50K plus per month. Next, content marketing. How could a guy that does so much content marketing talk about content marketing being bad? Well, the fact is content marketing works, but it takes a long time. A long time, typically, like months, if not years, in order to get real traction. This is why we pretty much always prioritize these guys up here. Then, once all of that is done, you literally cannot send another cold email. You cannot make another call. You cannot send another DM. You've completely capped it out. Then we can start looking at content. Now, there are a couple exceptions here. I don't mind if you have a video sales letter, a VSL, or a webinar, something that is content-based that's going to enable someone to learn more about your services. So that would be more of a sales asset than a content marketing piece. The second thing is if you can find a way to repurpose things that you already have, or you're just really good at talking off the cuff, so you're able to do your content marketing in like 5 to 10 minutes a day, then I don't mind. What I don't want to have happen though, and something that I see happen all the time with agency owners, is that content marketing starts to become a form of productive procrastination. Meaning, we spend 2 hours a day, 3 hours a day creating the perfect piece of content, and then fixing it again and rewriting the blog post and editing the video and all of these things that are just not going to deliver clients to the same scale and scope that all of these things up here are. So yes, content marketing can work, but it typically doesn't work as well as these top ones. So we add it to the mix later. For content marketing, I say your agency, let's get it to at least 10K a month before we start building that in. All right, number 3 worst strategy, community building. A lot of hype right now about building communities, paid communities, free communities. People are doing them through Facebook groups. They're doing them through school. They're doing them through all of these different ways. Not my favorite method for agency owners. by any stretch of the imagination. And the reason is because they take a lot of time, much like content marketing, they take a lot of time and a lot of energy and a lot of upkeep for very little rewards. To offer someone that's a potential client, hey, would you like to join my community? It may sound like a lower barrier, but you're going to make significantly more money by going to them and be like, hey, would you like to hire my agency? Because right away, they're either going to say yes or no, and we can move on. Whereas if we get them in the community, they still may say yes or no, but we've kind of wasted that ask. And we would call this an indirect offer. We're playing around with our iPad here. Indirect offer. Anything that does not directly ask for the sale. Do you want to join the community? Do you want to download a lead magnet? Do you want to get this free guide or VSL or anything like that? Versus what we want to do, which is direct offers. Direct offers are, you have this problem, I have this solution, would you like help with that? Essentially, what all of this magic pill is about. This is where the money is made, not in indirect offers. We can add these later. All right, the machine. How are we going to put all this together? Well, this is where the case funnel comes into play. This is something that I've used for the better part of a decade now. The case stands for coaches, consultants, agencies, service professionals, experts. Really what this is an online marketing funnel designed to get clients, but it is still easily the most effective one that we run. And we run it pretty much for like 80% of all of our agencies all of the time. So how does it work? Traffic to an application, to a calendar, to a call. It's very simple. All roads lead here. This is probably the most important thing to understand when you're trying to build up your agency is that high ticket sales, high value sales, anytime a client is going to hire you and pay you thousands of dollars a month, there needs to be a phone call involved. We can't do this through a sales page, through a checkout form, by automating it. We have to represent ourselves and our brands and our agencies by actually putting ourselves out there and talking to real people. But the beauty of that is that it simplifies everything because all of the funnels that we can map out and we can design, they're all almost irrelevant if we can just get everything to go to a call. That's it. That's all we're trying to do is book calls on our calendar. Of course, there are ways to do this, starting with traffic. So how are we going to send traffic to this? Well, like we talked about earlier, we're going to do it through email, through calling, and through DMs, direct messages. Then what we do is we send them to some kind of an application form. This was something that I learned years ago. I was in a group actually with a guy named Alex Becker. There was other people in SEO and everyone was building up agencies back, oh man, this is a better part of a decade ago. But one of the most valuable pieces of advice that I was given was to implement an application form for my agency. And I remember thinking at the time, this was complete madness because I didn't have enough leads or clients. Why would I make things more difficult? Why would I put some kind of friction or barrier in front of someone and make them apply before working with me? But I promise you it was a game changer. And the reason is because it shifts the frame. No longer was I a needy, desperate marketing agency owner who would do anything for someone's business. Now I was the one that was in short supply. And it's the old supply and demand curve. When we have supply go down, demand goes up. And this is exactly what happened with the application. So I had a simple application. What do you do? What's it about? How much do you charge? What are you doing? Et cetera, et cetera. They would fill out an application. Then they would take to a calendar. This calendar would allow them to book a time on my calendar so I could actually speak with them because remember, we got to go to the call. That is a terrible drawing of a phone, but hopefully it makes sense. We got to get them to the call. Now, sometimes what we'll do is we'll combine the application and the calendar page in a single page. So they can fill out the application, they can do the calendar, we can combine these. The steps are less important than the order that they go through, meaning we have to get attention, then we get some kind of engagement before we get conversion. That's really it. So attention, which comes in the form of traffic. Nothing's going to happen if you don't first get someone's attention. Engagement, meaning we need them to do something. Ran out of space, but that says engagement. We need them to do something to show that, hey, look, yes, I'm actually interested. I'm raising my hand. I'm interested in what you have. And then conversion. And for us as agency owners, conversion happens via a phone call, basically without exception. And when you put all these together, you end up with an incredibly powerful marketing plan that's going to enable you to get more clients, make more sales, and grow your agency to whatever level that you want. And the beauty is you're going to be able to replicate model, market, message, media, machine, everything we've talked about here for your clients as well, walking them through this process in order to put together a really strategic, high ROI delivering plan for them. So with that said, I'll leave you there. If you're curious about how we help agency owners grow to 6 and 7 figures, I'll put a link down in the descriptions below this video. And otherwise, talk to you later.